Let's talk about the domain. The domain goes from -8 to 8 to -4 to 4. What did we just do? That was a horizontal shrink. But of how much? We went from 16 units wide to only 8 units wide. How much did we shrink by? We shrunk by a half. All right, and then what happened here? We went from a -4,4 to a -6,2. Think about this. We went from -4 to 4, like this, to -6 to 2. The size is the same, but what have we done? What have we shifted? Well, we shifted down 2. Okay? So let's come up with an XY table that fits our graph. So if I take my first point, -8, -4, and I'm going to do this one point at a time. -8, -4, up here. If you do an x-axis reflection, what's that going to be? So let's put your point down here. -8, -4. Do an x-axis reflection, now you're at -8, +4, right? And it says a horizontal shrink by half. That means that my distance has shrunk horizontally. Basically, I'm dividing it by 2. I'm taking this point, -8, and I'm dividing the distance to 0 by 2. So where's that going to be now? Right here. And then a shift down 2. -4, comma 2. Alright, stay with me on this. 0, 4. Again, x-axis reflection is 0, -4. Horizontal shrink, so divide your x's by 2. But I'm at 0, so I'm just going to stay at 0. And then shift down 2. 0, -6. Let me go ahead and label this point here. Okay. Next point, 4, -2. 4, -2. Do an x-axis reflection, cut your x's in half, and go down 2. 2, 0. 8, -2. Do an x-axis reflection, cut your x's in half, go down 2. All right. Like this, and like this. That's an x-axis reflection, a horizontal shrink by 2, or by half, excuse me, and down 2. Okay? Now let's keep going. Sorry, this is actually going a little bit longer than I planned. But it's good stuff. The maximum is 0 at x equals -2. With no reflections, no stretches, and no shrinks. Well, that made my job really easy. No reflections, no stretches or shrinks. I ain't got to worry about nothing. The only thing I do have to worry about is placement. So, up here, where was the maximum? The maximum was at 0, 4. Right? Well, now it says that the maximum is 0 at x equals -2. At x equals -2, the value of the maximum is 0. So I have basically picked up this point here and moved it down here. Well, what do I have to do to get here? What do I have to go down and over? I've got to go down 4. To go from here to here, I've got to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over to the left 1, 2. Let's make a new XY table. All right, your x values, you're going left 2. So this is actually pretty easy. Negative 10, negative 2, 2, and 6. Mr. Ballard, where are you getting those from? Right here. Take this point left 2. Subtract 2 from it. Minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. Your y values down 4. Take away 4 from it. Negative 8, 0, negative 6, negative 6. No, negative 4. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Down 2. Or left 2. I'm looking at that. Wait, where were we at first? We were at, yeah, down 4. I'm sorry. Negative 6, negative 6. All right. Had it right the first time. Should have stuck with it. Okay, let's do this thing. You have negative 10, negative 8, right here. Negative 2, 0. Already got it. 2, negative 6, right here. 6, negative 6, right here. Draw them up. All right. No shrinks, nothing like that, no reflections, no stretches, nothing to worry about there. The last thing I want to do very quickly is actually come up with the functions for these. Kind of like we did up here, kind of like we have right here. I want to come up with this, but for both of these. So on the left, start off with y equals, I'm going to leave a space right here, and I'm going to write f parentheses x parentheses. Notice how all the spaces I've left? Now I can just fill in the blanks. An x-axis reflection. Bam. Negative y values. Horizontal shrink by 1/2. Horizontal shrink by 1/2. We always do the opposite in the parentheses, so I'm going to multiply by 2. Instead of dividing by 2 like I do with my points, inside the parentheses I will multiply by 2. Down 2. Over here, same thing. Y is equal to f parentheses x. Notice I'm leaving a little space everywhere. Down 4 minus 4. Left 2. Now left 2 means we subtracted 2 from our x value, so what am I going to do in my parentheses? Add 2. Always do the opposite.